against the motion. Now, all the rules of the actual debate itself, you've all got copies of them, sometimes more than one, and that the rules for the students to follow is exactly the same as in previous debates. Julie, you can see on your screen, is for you during the debates the most important person, because she is your timekeeper, and also she will be controlling any aspect of the debate that is not following the rules. One of those, for example, would be points of information that went on too long or constant interruption. You students, I know you know how it goes, so you've been training for this. So, but Julie will be your person for your timekeeping. She will start the debate, she will finish the debate, and she will also advise you of the 1 minute and the 4 minute, and as well as the 5 minute limits. And that is for each one of the speakers on both teams. That's all I need to say at the moment, but what I would like to add is a huge thanks, really a huge thanks, to Louisa from French Lycée and Marlon from the Belver, as well as the head teacher of both schools, who have given both time and effort in order to make this possible. As you'll realise, if we've been trying to do a debate without these mock debates, it would have been a little bit chaotic. And also for the teams, both the teams, the students, I know you've given your own personal time for this in a busy schedule of schoolwork. So many thanks indeed to all 6 pupils for your effort you put in. It is very, very much appreciated. I would like to hand you over to Julie, the timekeeper.
Good morning, everybody. Can I just say, before we start each session, you have to wait for the bell, because the last time we tried this, you were just going off ad hoc and the timing was behind you. So you must wait for the start bell, and then the subsequent bells will come at the right times. Okay, so can we have the first debater, please? And everybody else mute and lose your videos.
Belver, you must switch on your microphone. I think Belver starts. Yes, it's okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Ladies, gentlemen, judges, and members of the opposing team. Today, me and my fellow teammates will leave you in no doubt that social media is doing more harm than good. For some of us, social media seems like it's been around forever, but it is a very new cultural development. And yet, in that time, it's been able to cause a lot of damage to society and to people's lives. A study conducted in 2016 by the Journal for Computer and Human Behavior found that the more social media platforms one consumes, the higher the risk of anxiety and depression. According to GuardChart, an organization dedicated to protect young people from the negative aspects of social media, found that 22% of teens reported having to end friendships due to social media. The same study showed that 41% of teens reported having negative experiences as a direct result of social media, and 55% of teens said that they gave up personal information to somebody that they didn't know over social media. Quite frankly, these figures speak for themselves. Imagine how many relationships have been ruined and how much personal information has been given away as a direct result of social media. As speaker 2 will touch on later, imagine what else you could be doing with your time instead of increasing your likelihood of depression and stress. If you spent just 1 hour a day on social media, that adds up to 9 weeks a year. Imagine what you could do with that time. You could read books, you could learn new languages, you could travel the world. And yet, what do we use it on? We scroll through these sites as they harvest our data, ruin our friendships, and put strain on our mental health. A study published in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine found that people who spent the most time on social media, point of information.
You need to switch your microphone on.
Okay. So I'd like to know why you say that social media ruins people's lives when there are actually multiple studies that show that many connections have been made through social media, such as friendships and even relationships.
Well, as I've said, studies have also shown that it's ruined friendships and also increases people's likelihood of depression and anxiety. And I think it's fair to say that that can cause a lot of damage to somebody's life. As I was saying, a study published in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine found that people who spent the most time on social media were twice as likely to report experiencing feelings of social isolation, feelings of a lack of sense of social belonging, and of engagement, and a lack of fulfilling relationships. Studies have also shown that social media sites often lead to people feeling depressed as they see others achieving so much more than they have, and they feel as if they haven't truly achieved anything in their lives. How could anyone, therefore, claim that social media brings people together? It has catastrophic results on people's emotions. Overall, I believe these statistics show you how damaging social media is. The stress, the waste of time, the emotional turmoil. Are these costs really worth the rewards? Is social media a net benefit to society? Ladies and gentlemen, based on the information I have just given you, and as my fellow teammates will give you later, I think you know the answer.
Thank you, Belbert. Elise, do you want to start? Elise?
Oh, Elise. No, Elise. Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
I can, yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah, okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. When you give everyone a voice and give people power, the system usually ends up in a really good place. That's a quote that I read yesterday by Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO and founder of Facebook. In this day and age, everyone uses social media. It has become a universal thing. To put things into perspective, here's a brief comparison. For every car in the world, not drivers, cars, there's more than 3 social media users. That's 1.2 and 3.6 billion respectively. And this number just keeps growing due to the fact that technology is no longer destined only to the privileged ones, and is therefore more accessible. Let's take the lockdown as an example. I know we are all tired about hearing about the pandemic, but it is relevant. What did all of us use to communicate, learn, teach, work, etc.? Pigeons? Smoke signals? Telegrams? I don't think so. How do you think that us not talking to someone else other than to a cohabitant, for instance, would have affected?
We seem to have a breakdown of connection. I'm going to pause the clock.
Yes, there's a breakdown. Maybe they come back again.
Can you hear us?
I'm good.
Hello, can you hear us? We can't hear you at the moment. Oh, that's better. Okay, I'm going to start the clock again at 3:41. 3.41, sorry. Carry on.
Should I start again?
Yes, no, start from where you were, it's fine.
Yeah. Luis here is going to start off by talking about the benefits of social media and will remind us of the principles that they were initially based on. Then Damien is going to be talking about some examples he has. And since we're talking about benefits, here's a small list for you. It allows us to stay in touch, as I mentioned before. People can gather together easily and get projects started. It is entertaining. Other platforms such as YouTube are for many, myself included, an extremely important source of education, where you can learn new skills. It can generate an income. You can use it to share your work, passion, etc. You can use it to get a job. You can use it to send a message. It can help you learn a new language. And regarding the creativity issue, which I'm sure the opponent team is going to mention, nowadays the quantity of wannabe artists is rising exponentially due to the fact that you don't have to go to a prestigious school anymore to learn the basics. You don't have anymore only one source of information. Newspapers can get politicized and government controlled. And open source projects are getting more popular, which means that hardware and software are getting free. It is clear that social media has a major impact on our daily lives, whether you agree or disagree with the motion, and that it is currently, especially in this specific situation, of capital importance. Think about it for a second. If it wasn't for these platforms, we wouldn't be here because, remember, just like Google Meets or Skype, Zoom is a social media. Judges, audience, judges, opponent team, thank you for listening.
Wow, you finished very early, but well done. Belver, have you got your next speaker?
Let me tell you, please, Luisa, can you move your screen with the camera a little bit more up so that we can see the whole face of your speakers?
Shall we sort that out later? Louisa, are you there?
Yes.
Just tilt your camera just slightly upwards towards the ceiling, just a little. That's it, that should do it. Someone stand in front of the camera now, just so we get a rough idea.
It was not easy. You see, here?
Yeah, that's about perfect now. Everybody happy?
Yeah.
Okay, Belver, let's, are you ready?
Yes. What does being social mean? Well, according to the Collins Dictionary, being social is being in situations and activities that involve being with other people, especially for enjoyment. Good morning, ladies, gentlemen, esteemed judges, and members of the opposing team. I'm Mike Batidor, the second speaker of the affirmative team, and our goal is to prove to you that social media encompasses more disadvantages than advantages. Being social used to be saying, "Hi, I'm Mika, nice to meet you." Now our ideals have changed. Now being social is, "Oh look, some random stranger friended me. I have such a social life." But do you? See, according to the definition I gave at the beginning, being social is being in situations that involve being with other people. While each social media platform encompasses its benefits, it is crucial to remember that social media can never be a replacement for a real-world human connection. It requires in-person contact with others to trigger the hormones that alleviate stress and make you feel happier, healthier, and overall more positive. Ironically, for technology that has the purpose of making people closer together, spending too much time on social media can make you feel more lonely and isolated.
Studies show that an excess of these practices, and by excess, I mean more than 1 hour per day, can exacerbate mental health problems such as anxiety and depression. Likewise, the greatest problem is one that its impacts have not yet been seen in its maximum force. It is now a fact that kids under the age of 7 are using these social media platforms, even more often than older people do. But these kids are still growing, and their brains are still developing. Yet, they spend much more time in the virtual world than the real world. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you go down any avenue in Palma, you will see loads of kids, barely past the age of 10, staring at their mobile devices. Our generation is becoming the first of many that are less competent socially, and less social than the ones before it. As the first speaker said, the study conducted in 2016, which involved 1,700 people, also found out that the use of mobile devices among young people increases the risk of depression and anxiety by a factor of 3. But this is not only that. By having young people spend more time on social media than in the real world, they lack key skills in many areas. These platforms decrease the level of concentration and make the people have less able to engage in a natural conversation and more dependent on the approval of others. Finally, these youngsters, on average, taking 1 hour of social media use per day, will in 1 year have spent more than 9 weeks staying on their feet. Ladies and gentlemen, 9 weeks looking at worthless information that is not relevant to their appropriate development. 9 weeks a year watching a screen is the same as not looking up for your phone from an entire summer. Do you think this is beneficial? Do you think that the information they might be seeing there is so important that they should wait 9 weeks of their lives? Do you think that the information they see is so crucial for them to be staying for it for more than 2 months a year? Ladies, gentlemen, esteemed judges, and members of the opposing team, I'm Miguel Bajidor, the second speaker of the affirmative team, and my team and I can assure you that social media does more damage than good. Thank you.
Thank you, Baba.
Oh, sorry.
Can I just make a suggestion?
Yeah.
If there are any points of interest, if you not only hold the card but start to walk towards the microphone,
Okay.
then it'll take less time. Okay. Okay. Are you ready? Are you ready to speak?
Okay.
Hello. Sorry,
Yeah.
none of you introduced yourselves this time. We need to do that next time. Okay.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Damien, and today I will be developing arguments against the motion social media are doing more harm than good. How many of you present here have a phone in their pocket? And how many of you have social media in their phone? I think most of you do. Why is this? Well, because thanks to technology, we are now able to communicate right now. And as Alex said, this debate would not be possible if social media did not exist. Apart from that, the opponent team spoke of the real world, but suggesting that children nowadays spend more time on their phones than in the real world. But what is the real world nowadays? Well, the real world is in your pocket. That's the reality. The real world nowadays is communicating through the use of social media when you're at a distance. Due to certain events such as coronavirus, it is no longer possible to socialize as we once did. Nevertheless, it is still possible to maintain contact with people thanks to social media. I would like to say, firstly, that the social media has helped incredibly artists' jobs during the pandemic. And I can safely say that thanks to a study that was undertaken by sociologists, they admittedly said that 70% of these artists did not lose their jobs thanks to social media such as Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. As my colleague Alex said before, these social media platforms enable these artists to not only create an income, but to create a base of followers to then export and import their products such as teaching, lessons, and videos and more. Secondly, communication. As I've said before, it is incredible the amount of communication that is now done nowadays. People that are 70,000 miles away from me could contact me with a click of their phone. And that is all thanks to social media. You might think, the opposing team, that social media might be doing more harm than good because we are getting used to clicking our phones and everything being immediate, whilst instead having to go and shake someone's hand. However, why is the fact that we are allowed and we are able to speak with people who
We have a point of interest, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
You said before that social media enables us to communicate quicker with other people and not chasing their hands. However, I ask you, is that positive? Because we don't have time to see our friends anymore just because we know everything about them thanks to social media. As James said, social media is ruining friendships, and speed is the thing that's ruining. How is that positive?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Could you please repeat your question?
Before you said that social media enables us not to communicate with our friends in person, but to communicate virtually and not in reality. So, however, I ask you, is that positive? We don't have time to communicate with our friends anymore because we simply know everything about them. Social media is ruining friendships. How is that positive?
Well, as I said before, I think you would rather communicate than to not communicate at all. If it weren't to social media, you would not be looking at me right now. So imagine, as a quick example, do you have family that are in the United States or in Africa, as per se, just to make an example? You are now able to communicate with them despite the incredible length of kilometers that separate you. So why would this be a bad thing? Which actually leads me to my next point, which is distances are no longer taken into account nowadays. You can practically communicate with anyone you want thanks to social media. Ladies and gentlemen, opponent team, and members of the audience, thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Velvet. Oh, sorry, no to say. Velvet, do you have your next speaker? Your speaker is off at the moment.
Ladies, gentlemen.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Yeah. Okay.
Ladies, gentlemen, esteemed judges and members of the opposing team. My name is David Dominguez, and I am the third speaker of the affirmative team. We strongly believe that social media is doing more harm than good. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, they are all free to use, but does that mean we are not paying the price? This is because they involve a greater amount of sociology and psychology rather than actual technology. Social media corporations make billions out of the study of our behavior and monetizing our daily activities. When you are not paying for the product, then, ladies and gentlemen, you are the product, all of us. I'm aware that this may sound a little bit apocalyptic. However,
it's not time for questions yet.
As I was saying, this may sound a little bit apocalyptic. However, it is important to note that, as bizarre as it may sound, we are not the customers of social media. The advertising companies pay for the media platforms to put their well-known ads in them.
We have a point of interest.
Yeah, accepted.
So, some seconds ago, you said that social media companies win billions of dollars. But many other companies that are not based on that win billions. And thousands and hundreds of years ago, they already made the same deal. So your point about the fact that they only win billions of dollars just on our living is, I don't think it is very accurate, because it already happened and it didn't do as much damage as you were saying it does.
When did it already happen? Because as far as I'm aware, the big technology companies only started 10, 15 years ago, not hundreds of thousands years ago, as you said. However, as I was saying, they do make loads of money from our daily activities because we are not the customers. The advertising companies are the customers of social media. So they put their well-known ads in them using the mass media as a potential market. So let me put this in. Social media creates a forum so that everyone can join. The advertising companies put their ads in them and pay the social media for the use.
Sorry to interrupt. Could you talk a little slower, because it's getting very blurred? Thank you. I have. I'll restart the clock now.
Okay. As I was saying, this means that social media platforms are violently competing for our attention, for them to sell their services to advertisers at a higher price and making billions of dollars. They make exceptionally good predictions about how they can keep us engaged for longer periods of time. And whoever makes the best prediction wins. These predictions are denominated algorithms. Yes?
And if you're a person that has nothing to hide, how is someone selling your preferences a bad thing for you? How is it harmful for you directly if you have nothing to hide?
So I think social media are not selling their information. They simply manipulate ourselves using our information, which they obviously keep secure because it's their business, to keep us engaged for a longer period of time. And as James was saying, causing addiction, depression, and anxiety. So it's not like they were selling this to the KGB or something like that. It's simply that they manipulate our daily behavior. Due to the algorithms I was talking about, absolutely every action we make online is monitored and carefully recorded to build a better picture of who we are as individuals. What we like, what we don't like, what angers us, what makes us sad. The information fits the algorithm and informs of what content will be served at a later date. Again, with the objective of keeping us engaged for a longer period of time. Technology companies and social media networks pose a very real threat to our communities and to our democracies. As things stand, there is extraordinarily little in the way of regulation or responsibility being demanded of such corporations. The law is some way behind the advancements. Ladies, gentlemen, esteemed judges, and members of the opposing team, we ought to preserve modern democracies and freedoms. Social media is doing more harm than good. As Sophocles once said, nothing vast enters the life of mortals without a curse. Thank you.
And do we have our final speaker?
Hi, this is.
Are you ready? What? Are you ready? Okay.
Hi, this is Louis Riet. I'm for the motion that social medias are not making more harm than good. And and I'll start now. Social media was never meant of being selfies or anything, and it is now still made to make you but post a photo. Imagine a day the sky is very beautiful, you post a photo, not hoping of getting billions and millions of likes, but to show what you want to show and to see what you want to see. Again, the first video, I'm going to take the example of YouTube, was a man showing a zoo. It was one of the creators of YouTube, and it still exists like that. YouTube can still be used as a learning platform, as teachers show what they want to explain to their students and all. And first, the pandemic, again, I'm going to say again, is very was very helped. The confinement was survivable because of social medias, because of YouTube, Zoom, as we are using, Google Meet, and many types of apps like these. Imagine living in the confinement without social medias. What would you do? How could you send your documents to your friend's desk to show your work? How could you? These kinds of things would not be possible without social medias.
We have a point of interest.
You were talking before about the benefits of social media, and your whole argument is basically based around those. But we are not denying those, because social media can be a utopia and a dystopia at the same time. But my question is, for what are people using social media? They are using just to keep time, to be engaged for long periods of time, and to kill time. As James was saying, this causes depression and anxiety. How is this positive?
Well, I can answer you very well. As you said, social media can be an utopia and a dystopia, and I think it's way more an utopia than a dystopia. You have obviously people who are saying, I don't want to vaccinate my kids, but you also have people who show the art. You have presidents who show discourse. You have people who make entire texts and put them on that, hoping they can be seen by other people and finally recognized by, as I could say, society. And now our society is based on social media. When you have big announcements, you have the president who has even an Instagram account who shows his things. You have ads who show, put your mask, please. This is for coronavirus.
And you're talking about simple advantages of social media. So let me put this simple. How many lives is this social media destroying and killing, and how many lives is it saving?
Yes. No, it doesn't. I cannot. Oh, I didn't understand your question. Could you articulate or take off your mask, please?
Okay. I can't take my mask of its school rules, but I was saying you are talking about simple advantages of social media again. So let me put this simply. How many lives is social media destroying and killing, and how many lives is it saving?
How many lives is social media killing and saving?
You've just turned your mic off.
I do think that actually social media saved or helped more lives than they did harm. Imagine there is a kid here in Mallorca, Miguel Montoro. He became mostly, we could say, a star of the Spanish.
Sorry, that's your time up. Thank you. Now that we've finished with all the talking, I'm just wondering, as the timekeeper, should we add an extra, say, 30 seconds because of people getting up from tables? Do you think that would be a good idea? Because it's definitely eating into the speaker's time. Yeah? So the next time we make it 5 minutes and 30 seconds.
If I may come in, I think that is a suggestion, Julie, to consider for the next debates. We would discuss it with each of the 6 schools taking part, but it's certainly a good consideration. Thank you.
Because it's certainly eating into the speaker's time because they have to stand back.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
Everybody, both teams now have 2 minutes to do their summing up, after which we'll have the speaker for each school. 2 minutes, thank you.
Kate, can you look at your phone, please?
Yeah.
Do I start?
Okay, now.
The first speaker of the opposing team mentioned in a point of information towards our third speaker how if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to worry about. Quite frankly, that is the most horrifying and Orwellian argument I have ever heard. The point is not it's valuable information. The point is that it's yours, and it shouldn't be in the hands of company directors and CEOs so that they can manipulate it to advertise their products. The third speaker of the opposing team also mentioned the first video on YouTube and how when it was created, YouTube was this harmless, innocent thing. However, and tried to connect that to how it is now. However, I think, ladies and gentlemen, and the opposing team would be interesting to hear one of the recent problems of YouTube was this international phenomenon of people intentionally hurting innocent animals purely for the sake of creating a video of them saving it. How can you say that that's positive? They ran over dogs and then, oh, look, I'm saving it. It was a horrifying thing, and YouTube is still dealing with it right now. This first speaker also mentioned a quote by Mark Zuckerberg talking about how social media gives people a voice. And I totally agree. It gives a voice to flat earthers, to Holocaust deniers, to anti-vaxxers, and gives these people the exact same degree of voice as scientists and professionals in the result of creating an echo chamber of people who believe these crazy, insane things. It certainly gives people a voice, but it gives the wrong people a voice. And the second speaker also mentioned how popular social media is and how it helps people communicate to other families from abroad and things like that. And I think that just shows how it's leaked into every society. They're not helping you communicate with your family just because they're nice. They're doing it so that they can harvest the data you tell your families and use it for their own sick, twisted company values.
Thank you.
So first of all, I wanted to say that we agree with all of your arguments. There are some people that are crazy that use social media to do harm, but you need to keep in mind that all of your arguments are focusing only on minorities. For instance, there are 3.6 billion users, but there are not 3.6 billion people filming dead cats. This is always an issue, because when there's a new technology, there's always someone that's going to use it to do harm. For instance, planes. We are using planes right now. It's the safest way of moving from one point to another. But there are people that use them to do harm, as we've seen in, well, terrorist attacks. So what we're saying is that globally, if you focus on the entire spectrum, if you focus on all of the users, social media is not doing more harm, because it helps us to stay, as I said, in touch. It's also safer because we can track, for instance, criminal activity, and it's a way of, as I said, it's not, you don't have to, you can't focus on just a small problem to refer to everything. You can't generalize, because that's what the motion is about. More harm than good, not just harm. More harm than good. And as we've seen, it does do more good. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, judges, I'm guessing you can go off into your room now.
I open the room for the judges.
You're on now, so you better go.
Oh, right.
I'm in the judges.
So while they're off in the room, is there anything that any of the schools want to clear up? Can you hear everything okay? Can you see everything okay?
Yeah. Julie?
Yeah?
Based on the bell, my students were having a bit of a problem hearing the bell. So they didn't know whether it had passed or not. They were a bit unsure. I was just going to suggest, would it also be a good idea maybe to actually hold it in front of the screen so that if they can't hear it, they can at least see it and it's been rung, because it might...
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have the proper bell. I'm using a silly little thing at the moment. So yeah, okay. I will certainly bear that in mind.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments?
Yes, hello. Sorry, can't see me, you can hear me. Yes, I agree. We can't hear your bell clearly enough. Okay. And we feel we are missing at least 30 to 40% of what the debaters are saying when they're wearing the mask. We're just catching words, but we don't seem to be hearing it clearly enough. I don't know how the judges feel. I don't know how you feel.
I could certainly hear. I don't know about anybody else.
Well, maybe it's not a matter of hearing, it's a matter of understanding clearly. We can hear, sound is good enough, but the understanding is very difficult with the masks on.
Okay. Is there anybody else in this group that's still active? Because all your mics are off at the moment. Nope, they've all disappeared. Hello. Your mic's off, Ali. Could you hear properly?
Hi. I found it very difficult to understand Belver with their masks on. I think, you know, if they're standing quite away from the microphone with a mask on, it's not clear when they're speaking. Some of the words are coming out very clear, but other words aren't coming out clearly.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's either everybody speaks with a mask on, or when they're speaking in front of the microphone, they take the mask off. It's got to be on equal conditions.
Belver, it's school rules, as I believe, that you're not allowed to take your mask off. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Which is why the students have the mask on, I'm afraid.
Yeah. It's
but
funny because
they must get closer to the microphone and speak clearer.
And we can probably, we can work on that. I mean, we can see if we can get a microphone that would elevate their voice and make it a little bit clearer when they're speaking. But unfortunately, we can't take the mask off, I'm afraid.
It's strange because I could hear every word. But it's obviously every system is different.
Yes, every system is different, and I think the microphone of the other school is better than the microphone of Belver. I think Belver uses the computer microphone, and would be useful that they get another microphone for the students. For the future.
I'm afraid I disagree. It's not a microphone issue. I can hear you all. You that aren't wearing masks, I can hear you perfectly. It's the three debaters that were, honestly, at least 30% of what they were saying was unclear. We've got one word out of three. And it's difficult for the debaters here to be able to answer or to debate when they only hear 70% of what's going on. No, not here, sorry, understand clearly.
Okay, that's what we're here to discuss and to work out how to do it better, isn't it? So everyone has to announce a little bit more clearly.
I think sometimes with Belver it was much clearer than others. When they got closer to the microphone, I think that helped for me. When they were a little bit further away, that's when I lost some of the words. But when they were closer to the mic, I found it okay. So maybe it's just trying to be conscious of where you're standing, maybe.
I thought we were getting headsets for the schools. Is that not happening? Or mind you, we have to wait for Kate to come back for that. Oh, you've got them.
The sound is actually excellent. The quality of the sound is excellent. It's the understanding. So I doubt it has anything to do with headphones, with microphones, with loudspeakers. It's all to do with the mask. I'm teaching with the mask. I've been teaching with the mask for a month and a half now, and I, as a teacher, have to articulate a lot more, speak slower and speak much louder. It's a matter of practice. It demands a lot of practice, but it's important because if not, we're missing out on a lot.
It may be a Wi-Fi problem. It may be Wi-Fi problems. I don't know if it's us or you or someone, because you were speaking with the mask now and not specifically articulating that we could hear you perfectly.
Me? You heard me? Yes, I'm a teacher. I've been doing this for 7 weeks now. I'm an English teacher for foreign students, and my job is to make sure people understand me. Yes, I know you can hear me and you can understand me. But let's just try, Alex. Can you please stand up? Or Damien? Damien? Yeah. Just say part of your, I want them to realise. Okay. Actually, I've recorded a part of your debate. Go ahead, you speak of it. Speak of it with your mask on.
Whatever. Okay.
Just talk about what we were talking about.
Okay, well, I don't know what to say. Okay. Social media helps communication because, as I said before, the long distance relationships such as friendship, family and friends, as I said, can affect very highly to how we can relate ourselves to people who are far away from us.
I can hear him perfectly.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah. They can hear me. No, es que hablas más lento.
Si tú eres inglés. Okay, this is what I've filmed. I've filmed a bit.
Not coming through very well.
That is the quality of what we are hearing. It is really hard. I'm not exaggerating saying that we're missing out on 30%. I think it's more.
What do you suggest the answer is?
Well, I don't know. Well, yeah, the masks.
But they're unable to remove them, so there must be another answer. We can't hear that properly.
Right. I'll forward this to Kate for her to see or hear what we are hearing.
Maybe if they get closer to the computer, since they're not using a direct microphone that is clipped in, they get closer, we might understand them better.
He's on balance. He's
right
to this session.
Oh,
If not, they just articulate and speak slower. That would be the best.
Yeah, under the circumstances.
Can Belver come towards the microphone, one of you, and try talking a little clearer now, just to see if it makes a difference? Whoever's...
Can you hear me okay now? Is this...
Yes. Well, now stand back just slightly from the microphone. That's it, and try from there.
You can hear?
I can hear you. Keep talking.
Okay, I'm just slowly backing away to see if there's a crucial difference between...
It's not clear.
Really?
No.
We usually stand here.
You've got to project your voice. You've got to project it.
Try again.
Okay. Is this better?
Carry on speaking.
Okay. I'm not exactly sure what to say, but is this any better than it was originally?
See, I can hear you perfectly. It's the other people that are having the problem. So, Louisa?
It might be a Wi-Fi. It could be Wi-Fi.
It must be Wi-Fi connection.
Sorry, I'm sorry I didn't hear that. Did you mention my name?
Yeah, could you hear them better when he was standing nearer the mic?
Yeah. Slightly better.
Slightly better, but again, James, as I think, was, I do think he articulates better than David on this piece.
Okay, it looks like we've got the judges back now anyway. Over to Kate. Kate, we've been discussing people being held to hear properly while you've been in your little room.
Yeah.
There is a few issues which we can talk about later.
Fine, thanks very much for that, Julie. Thanks very much indeed. The team have come back, the team of judges have got their comments ready now. I would repeat again that this is not a part of the actual competition. It's a mock debate. Therefore, there are no winners or losers. There's no marks being given. But I think it'll be very useful in this occasion for each of the judges to be giving, two of the judges to be giving their summary, and then Graham doing the conclusion on behalf of the judges. So I would ask Frank, can Izzy please come in and give her comments?
Yes, hello. Can you hear me and can you see me?
We can.
Yes, I can see you.
Perfect. Overall, congratulations to both schools. I was incredibly impressed. I thought the standard is incredibly high. General comments overall, as a performer, I would perhaps for their future, not only about the content, which, as I said, the standard I thought and the research was very good, but to also think very much about their presentation of movement and how they're standing and how they're actually moving and everyone else behind them, as distraction is something that is not beneficial when holding this debate. Would that be a fair comment, Graham?
Yes, I would say so, yes.
I think for the time being, shall I leave it there and hand over
to David?
David,
are you there? Hello, David. Oh, have we lost him?
Sorry, I'm here. Can you?
Oh, great.
Apologies. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can perfectly. Yeah.
Everyone else? Super.
There you are.
Would just like to reiterate Izzy's comments and congratulations to both teams. I think the standard of your presentations, all of you, was excellent, first class, and particularly given that you've had to prepare for this twice now. I thought very, very impressed with the performance and contributions from all of you. Many, many congratulations.
Graham, would you like to give us summing up, please, on behalf of the jury?
Yes, sure. I think
in your usual impeccable manner over the years.
Yes, I think we all thought that you'd worked very hard on the story you'd got to put over. And I think it's very important to, when you're doing a debate like this, where you are presenting to judges like ourselves, to tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them you've told them. So you get that message through and people go away as you walk away and think, yes, that's what that guy was on about, got it. And with some of you, you did that very well, others less well, and it was difficult towards the end of the debate trying to catch up what other people had said and to either emphasize it or deny it. All I would say is, as you're listening to other people talking, if you are still ready, it's still yet to talk, make your little notes and think how you can fit it into what presentation you already have. Also, I thought the sum-uppers were very good. I think that's a very hard job to try to sum up, particularly at a distance like this. And you did very well in finding ways of summing up your story and denying the other side's story. So well done, all of you.
Thank you very much. I would just like to conclude by saying my congratulations to the schools. And many thanks, because students from Belver and French Lycée, without you and your work, this simply would not have been possible. We wouldn't have been able to do the debates this year, as we learned from the first mock debate. So, thank you. Whoops, here we are. I'm going off and on. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah?
you're back now.
I had a glitch there. So that was my main thing. It's your extreme generosity is much appreciated. I think that some of the other schools are taking part have actually been watching the mock debate. So if you're listening in to the Academy, the BIC, Agora and Queen's, I hope that this has been useful for you in seeing and learning how the debates will go this season. It's been a learning curve for all of us. I think particularly, for example, the points of interest, the comments that Julie made about how that would be done, I think that was extremely useful. One or two of the students' comments about from Izzy about watching the background. There was sometimes when one student was speaking, there was movement in the back. There was one or two speaking in the background. These are all things. It's all part of the learning curve, and I think this has been really useful. I think also the I don't think the judges mentioned it, but it was mentioned earlier on. Speaking fast when you're talking on cameras and as opposed to in person is a little bit more difficult. And as I think you were asked on one occasion by Julie, just slow it down a little bit so it comes across a lot clearer. Having said that, we're only a few days away from the start of the main event. And I would like to, as well as thank the schools, thank our sponsor, which we've just got confirmed the sponsor for these expensive conference call cameras that we've now got. And of course, all the Rotary people who've helped make this work. Coming up, we have got on Wednesday, the 21st of October, we will be having the first debate of the actual series of preliminary debates, 1st of October. And that will be between the Academy and the French Lycée. And the motion is men and women cannot actually be equal. Academy versus French Lycée, men and women cannot actually be equal. The difference from today is that the students and the teachers must be in the room by 9:30 when the coin will be being tossed by Julie, your controller and timekeeper, for who is debating for the motion and which team is debating against the motion. So as in all previous debates, that will take place 9:30, and each school will have, as always, the half an hour to finalize their arguments for or against. So the first one is next Wednesday, the 21st, the Academy versus the French Lycée, and 9:30 in the room where it will be, Julie will be controlling for and announcing for and against with the toss of a coin as before. The debates will start punctually at 10 and it will finish at 11. Including the comments from the judges and the summing up of the spokesperson for the jury. Okay, I'm hoping this will all be sent to everybody online for over the weekend so that everybody's time to take it in again. But again, my thanks for absolutely everybody involved, 20 volunteers, about a couple of dozen of you from the schools. It's been quite a project, but we're at the starting point. Thank you very much to everybody involved. Julie, do you want to say something?
Yeah, while you were away in the room, there was quite a discussion that Louisa's team could not hear Belver at all. They could hear them, but they couldn't hear all the words properly.
Right.
So I think the teams need to practice talking to the camera clearly and slowly and announcing their words a little bit better. I don't know if the judges heard them properly, but I certainly did, but some people were having problems, I think.
I heard pretty well, yes. I didn't really have a problem.
Yep, and I didn't have a problem either, but it's something then we've got to look at, a very, very strong point, Julie, between the sound system between the two schools, perhaps. Yeah.
Kate, yes. Sorry, I've actually just sent you a video. I filmed. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed actually, but I filmed a fragment of Belver speaking for you to see or hear what we heard. I'm afraid it's very difficult to understand. We missed out on a big part of precision. We heard the big ideas, but it's very difficult when there's a point of information and you just get the gist of it and you don't understand it perfectly. So please listen to the video. It's exactly the same quality as what we hear here.
Yeah.
As I said, the debaters at Belver said they could hear and understand me perfectly when I spoke with my mask. But I've been doing this now for 7 or 8 weeks, 7 hours a day. So, and I'm an English teacher for foreign students, so I articulate, I speak slowly. I mean, we do remove our masks. As you said, it has to be everybody the same. It's not fair on our team if Belver understood everything perfectly well and we don't. So
it's something we have to look at, Louisa, both from the sound system point of view and taking your remarks. This is exactly why we've said we need these mock debates, because it's so different for everybody. I think what we're hearing is that the individual people, like the individual members of the jury and Julie and so on and forth, we held everything perfectly. The problem seems to be between the two schools. We'll hear from Belver a little later how they got on listening to yourselves. Yeah?
I think Louisa was saying that they could hear, they just couldn't totally understand.
Yeah.
It's not a sound system, it's more the children actually using their words more clearly.
There's also the point, Louisa, that I don't know what room that Belver were using, but there was an echo. I could definitely hear there was an echo.
We're in the hall of the school. So
that's possibly what it says. There's a bit of an echo, even when you're talking now.
Yeah. Is it okay? The boys have break time. Is it okay if I let them have their break now?
Of course, absolutely, of course. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed, Marlon, and all the students. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you.